Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Santosh Kumar and welcome to my channel CyberCentrics. In the first part, I have shown you how to install Terraform on Windows and Linux operating system. I have also covered the introduction of Terraform. In this video or in the second part, I'm going to cover the guide to Terraform documentation and how to spin up a new Ubuntu instance using the Terraform code. We will understand how to read the Terraform documentation. This guide will basically help you to write the Terraform code more efficiently and easily. Okay, so let us understand how the documentation is distributed or segregated in the website. The Terraform will be divided first into multiple providers. Okay, in our case it will be AWS, and each provider will have a lot of services that will be providing. For example, in AWS it can be spinning up an instance or the load balancer, S3 bucket or route 53, etc. And each services will have a corresponding data source and a resource. So data source is some kind of information which will be using while configuring the resources, right? And it helps us to write the Terraform code or to perform the configuration. The resources are services provided by the AWS on which we're going to take action upon. For example, we're going to spin up an instance. So instance is a resource. We're going to add multiple services to that instance. Okay, so let us go quickly to the website and understand how it looks. So go to the home page of Terraform, go to the doc section and then providers. You'll see there's a huge list of providers which Terraform supports. In this case, we just want to use the AWS. So when you open the AWS provider, you will see there's a lot of services that are being listed which the AWS provides. For example, EC2 here, and then you have Guard Duty, AWS Guard Duty, which is used for security, and then you have KMS for key management system. You have S3 buckets, Route 53. As I mentioned earlier, it has SNS, SQS services, and so on. Now, each services, as I mentioned earlier, will be divided into data sources and the resource. So let's see EC2 service. So EC2 service, when you click, you can see that it is divided into two sections. One is data source, another is resources, right? Let us quickly see one of the and just to mention you, each of the resources or basically information will have the sample code available to you, which will help you out to write a Terraform code. Okay, so let us take an example to show you a sample code. Let me take an example of a resource which says AWS underscore instance, upon which we are going to work on the lab also. Let me quickly search it. Yeah, so here it is. So here, if you see in the code, you have the resource, the resource type is AWS underscore instance and the unique ID provided to that, and it says the AMI should be the specific value, the instance type should be this, and the respective tags, right? And here, if you see, you have the provider section where it says AWS, and it is again, if you see the part data, this all comes from the data sources. Okay, so don't worry much about this. In the hands-on, I'll show you all the information. And one more thing that you need to understand is each provider, right, whether it is AWS and Azure, you need to provide some credentials, or you need to authenticate. The Terraform needs to authenticate basically to perform action on the resources. For that, you need to provide the required information in this format. So it will be something like provider, AWS, the region, the access key, and the secret key. Okay, so going back to the PowerPoint slide, the two prerequisites that we have to build an AWS infrastructure. So the first thing is AWS account. You should have access to AWS, and the second is an editor of your choice. So in my case, I'm going to use Atom application for developing my Terraform code. So as mentioned before, you need to basically provide the authentication or provide the access to Terraform to perform the required manipulation and deploying of resources on respective provider. So we need is access key and the secret key. So let's see how to do it quickly. Go to AWS console and click on services and go to IAM. In the IAM, click on users and create a new user. Let me name it Linux-Terraform, and I'm going to give an programmatic access, which basically enables an access key and the secret key for AWS application package interface, CLI and SDK, and that is what we need. And these are the ways through which the Terraform is going to access the AWS. Click on next, give its permission for admin. Next tag you can give the name as application and name it Terraform. Click on next, all seems good. Click on create user. So once you create a user, as you see, you get a access key ID and the secret key. So download the credentials for the same. So as you see, I've downloaded the credentials. So now going back to my Atom editor, let's see how to create a Terraform code. Let me create a new project folder and then go to file, add a project folder. Let me add a new folder saying lab Linux instance and select that specific project folder. And as you see, my new project has been added named lab Linux instance. Let me create a new file named as linux instance.tf. So all the Terraform code file name should ends with an extension called .tf. Okay, so let's go quickly to the documentation and see how we can utilize the documentation to write the Terraform code. So going back to the AWS provider, when I click on you see here we have list of all the providers and specifically AWS provider document which I've opened. So if you see an example, using a static credential, we can provide the required access key and the secret key so that the Terraform can make an authentication or perform an authentication to AWS. So let us copy this and paste it in the code that we have created. So if you see, it has three aspects: region, access key and secret key. So we're going to provide the region, access key and secret key. So if you going back to my console, I want to launch an instance in a respective region in Mumbai, and the Mumbai is AP-South-1. So let me copy this region in here, and then we need is the access key and secret key. So utilize the CSV sheet which we have just downloaded to get the credentials. So let me open it up. Now my access key is this one and my secret key is this. Okay, so we have the required arguments in the provider bucket, so that is region, access key and secret key. Okay, so once we are done with this, we need to spin up an instance. So for that we need to use the resource bucket. So let's see how do we get that. So going back to the documentation, let's go to the EC2 services, and the EC2 services you can get the AWS_instance resource, and it is here. Let's say that you're not aware like where this exactly is. You can simply go and search for AWS instance Terraform, and this is the first result that you will get. You have the resource_AWS instance documentation. You have the provider section which we already completed, and the next thing that we have is this section below. This information is basically pulled from the data sources, and then at the end you have a resource section. In the resource section we are going to provide the arguments AMI, instance type and the tag. Again, tag is optional. We can, if we go below the documentation, you can see what all arguments are required. Here the required argument is AMI and the rest are all optional, and then you have an instance type which is required. So just compare this with the AWS console while you are deploying a or basically launching an instance. So if I when I launch an instance in AWS, I get the first option to choose AMI, which is required. Then I get an option to choose an instance type, which is again required. And then from these steps, everything is optional. You can leave it as it is to default, and that will automatically be creating a default value for you. Considering the same, if we provide the instance type argument and the AMI argument into the resource bucket, we should be good to spin up an instance. Okay, so either you can copy this, or let me show you how to write the Terraform code with the help of Atom. So since we need a resource, we'll say resource, and then we need an instance. So AWS underscore instance, and let me provide a unique name to this. Let me say Linux instance here, and we'll open the bucket. So in this, as I mentioned, there are two fields that is required. One is AMI and the other thing is instance type, which is here. So as you see, whenever we type the code, or whenever you write, the required information automatically provides the suggestions to you. Okay, so everything that you write on the right hand side should be under the codes. So how to get an AMI? So let me provide a static AMI in this case. So we'll go to our console, go to the choose AMI step, and copy the AMI from here, and let me paste it again. And then you can go back to the console and you can choose the the instance type from here, and it is t2.micro. So let me do t2.micro. Okay, so we are good. So we have the provider, which will basically helping Terraform to authenticate to AWS, and we have a resource bucket which basically help us to create an instance. Okay, now after this, we need to write the specific Terraform command to initiate or to basically spin up an instance. So before that, let us save this. Okay, so go to your command prompt and go to the specific folder where you have this project created. Let me go one step back and go to lab. So now I have my linux-instance.terraform file in this. So there are three basic commands that you need to always use. These are Terraform init, Terraform plan, and Terraform apply. Terraform init is basically a command which when run will download the required plugin which is required by Terraform to perform the activity on AWS provider. Terraform plan basically shows what action it's going to take when you apply the command, when you run the command Terraform apply. Okay, so let me quickly show you if I run the Terraform plan command directly. So if you see, I get an error saying that could not satisfy the plugin requirement. Plugins reinitialization is required to perform. So it is asking us to run the Terraform init. So what are plugins? Plugins are external binaries that Terraform uses to access and manipulate the resources. And in our case, to access and manipulate the AWS resources, we need the plugins or the external binaries of required AWS provider. So let me run Terraform init command. So when I run, it starts initializing for the respective provider and start downloading the provider for the same. It might take some time. Okay, so now as you see, when I expand, now I get an additional folder called as Terraform, which basically pops up when you run the Terraform init command, and it gets the required plugin which it needs to run the Terraform commands here, right? Okay, so now coming back to my command prompt, let me run the command terraform plan, and as I mentioned, it will show you the activity or the manipulation that it's going to perform on the resources bucket. So as you see here, it says that it is going to create a Linux instance. Okay, the AMI is the same thing which I have mentioned in the code, this one, and it is going to create an instance type of micro, and remaining things, if you see, it is mentioned known after apply. So all these things will be automatically created and assigned to the respective instance. So now if you see, my instance will be launching here. Right now I have not run the command terraform apply. So this is just the plan or design that is going to show you that this is going to happen when you gonna write the command terraform apply. So as soon as this command runs, you should be able to see, and then to run this command, it will ask for your approval, type yes, and as soon as this executes, automatically you should see an instance popping up in this section. Okay, so as you see, apply complete, resource 1 added 0, change 0, destroyed, right? So let me refresh this page. So as you see, I have my new instance created with the same AMI ID. Let me show you. It's the same AMI ID ending with 5F7, and it is of instance type t2.macro. Okay, great. So you have seen how to spin up an Ubuntu instance using the Terraform code. I hope you would have got a basic understanding of writing the Terraform code and how to use the Terraform documentation to achieve the same. I have covered the Terraform introduction and installation in the part 1 of the series. I will provide the link for the same in the description. I hope you had a great learning. Please like and subscribe the video. Also provide your feedback in the comment and let me know any topics that you want me to cover. Thanks for watching the video.